Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles and Big Earl with the Grow Hour. Big Earl, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing really good, man. How about you?
We're doing great over here, man. And hopefully all you gardeners out there in the world are listening in because we have a special guest on. HumminBird Hills is in the house. HumminBird, how you doing, brother?
I'm blessed, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the pod and everything. I look forward to it, and I'm a big fan, you know?
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much. We're a fan of you because I've got to smoke some of that Ursula berry that you created that I got from Big Earl, and I absolutely love it. And it is a phenomenal breed, phenomenal strain, phenomenal
that
grow.
Ursula berry is special. She's one of my favorites, one of my flagships. I'm taking her to F5 right now.
Thank you so much. So we are going to smoke, and I'm smoking a phenomenal strain that I just got from Big Earl yesterday called Sour Poo. Big Earl, do you want to tell him what Sour Poo's all about?
Yeah, Sour Poo. Sour Poo's all about the sour. It's got it in the first name. It's a Poo's Peaches was the male. That was from Humminbird. Sour Bubble was the lady there, Mephisto. Great combo. That Poo's that Poo, the Peaches was one of my favorite kind of male is the male that's just going to add vigor and let the lady kind of like do her thing with the flavor and the looks. And so the whole line can be different, but still like, have the same male. And that's exactly what that Pooz did. It like added this little bit of sour funk to everything. But then just beasted all, like everything stacks. It was an awesome line.
Nice. And what are you smoking on now, Big Earl?
Peachy Keen. I rolled up a lava cake and you brought up, we're going to fall asleep. I said, yeah, I probably will. Actually, I'll save the lava cake for the end.
Yeah, save it for the end for our 420 smoke sesh to finalize the show off for our 420 smoke sesh. But yeah, that lava cake, dude, is phenomenal. I use that. That's bedtime smoke for me. That puts me right to sleep. HumminBird, what are you smoking on, my friend?
Before I say what I'm chiefing on, Earl, I just want to say, that Pooh was one of the best studs I've seen found in my gear so far. I found amazing studs in that line. The ones I used for the F2s was pretty monstrous, but this guy, he's always finding crazy, amazing studs. I mean, as far as on a breeding standpoint, he's already up there as far as I consider with some of my best peers. So shout out to you, brother. And you did send me some of that peachy Keen. You gave me a bunch of those testers, right? I just sent Huncho a bunch of it. So we're going to get some data on those soon. But just I just got to say, because I know you're doing some peach work right now, and I'm loving that stone fruit shit you're doing. But myself, I'm actually smoking on some of my Gamma cheese. It's one of my new flagship lines I'm trying to start up. I just made the F2s and a bunch of crosses with it. It's actually going to be my next drop once I get back from Chicago next week. I'm hoping to do a release of them. But it's Bruce Banner. If you like some strawberry diesel turds, big guy. It's the Bruce Banner 3 cross to my Gouda, which is another one of my flagship autos. And it's a watermelon Skittles cheese funk type thing. It's a real dominant cheese strain. Yeah, try to put the youngers up to the cheese. They don't appreciate the old strains. They know about them in name, but they don't appreciate them.
The cheese strains, I've smoked a few different cheese strains grown from actually another friend of mine. He doesn't live in Ypsilanti anymore, but he did live in Ypsilanti, Earl. I never told you about him. Maybe you might have met him across the way. We'll have to talk after the show, but he did a bunch of different cheese strains. Cheese strains are really good. They just make me fucking just blind, like heady, just like I can't see straight. They don't do well for my endocannabinoid system. You know what I like cheese strains for? Cooking with them. Phenomenal to make butters with and make edibles with. I've made so many edibles with cheese strains, blue cheese ice cheese. This friend of mine who was a grower in Ypsilanti actually is so funny. Earl, I don't think I've ever mentioned him to. So, but I do love a good cheese strain. It makes actually Mrs. Weedman laugh and cry at the same time.
Hey, I like those strains. They kind of have me I enjoy the couch life. I enjoy the more narcotic, old school things that used to have me like, on edge like that. I'll be enjoying it, having the giggles out my ass, and then the next minute I'm watching the movie and I'm bawling, But this isn't like that. It's really more. I wanted to bring the Z. I'm a big fan of Z Skittles and stuff. I wanted to bring that in with the cheese, so it's not super cheesy. And what I've bred Gouda for is like what most people describe it, and what I've just decided to go with is a watermelon funk. So you get some of that cheesiness you like, but it's a real watermelon funky thing. And I completely threw that out the fucking window with these new crosses with gamma cheese and straw goo. It's all about strawberry. I went back to the fruitiness, but it's not watermelon, it's no cheese. One of my phenos of this the gamma cheese I use, they went really purple. The strain doesn't usually go purple for me, even with like low temps and for my phenol like testing. But these two phenos, one went so dark it almost looks black. I know you've seen cultivars like that, Earl. And the other one is like literally if you open up a box of the Nesquik, the strawberry powder, the strawberry milk powder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you ever do some fast soda shit like my big ass, you take
I didn't grow up with the squirt bottle. I grew up where you had to fucking take that cap off, and half the time you almost cut your finger with a knife when you were doing it with a butter knife as a kid, and it's fucking powder going all over the place. You're sticking it up with a straw.
Yeah, so you remember when it didn't have a little easy peel like the kids got now. Yeah.
Oh, so, man, it was a little fucking box. Metal aluminum container with a little fucking cap you had to pop off. Man, I'm 50. I'm old. I remember that.
I tell folks, I'm like, I might look a little young and stuff. I've been in this game for a little minute, so I definitely have seen some of the older stuff, and my old man definitely raised me with I remember that pop out one with the knife. Don't get me wrong, because my OG's like from Inglewood, so yeah, man. I ain't no well silver spoon kid out here. I'm a Southside kid. But it smells just like the powder. If you just opened up that Nesquik, strawberry Nesquik, and that's what I call the pheno. It's a Nesquik pheno. And it's so frosty. It's one of my favorite. I love all the strains I make. It's like kids. I don't got a favorite kid or nothing, right? But if something was happening, if it was a life or death.
There's one every once in a while that might do a little bit better than the other one. So you got to give him a pat on the back and then put him right back in down there. But if it extends up there, you got to give it some props. You got to give the kids some props every now and then.
Like, I'm the black sheep of my family, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I only got one sibling. Like, I know what's going to happen, between the two of us, right? So when I look at these strains, I got like 7-9 crosses with Gouda I made, okay, last summer that came from the progeny of Gouda. And Gamma was the main one most folks wanted that I didn't sell a lot of because I didn't make a lot of them. But people saw what I was enjoying with them and seeing what I could do with them and what other folks were getting that were just getting into autos. And one of my favorite things to do is with folks out here in Cali, it's like a blind cola test. You like Pepsi? Okay, cool. I'm gonna show you if I'm a cola or RC guy. So I blind test them, with autos.
You definitely Southside. You definitely Southside bringing up that RC cola, dog. You definitely
big dog. I don't say soda. I'm a pop guy.
They don't know about no RC cola out in Cali.
Yeah, Midwest things, yeah, man. Like, I'm gonna let my accent. They think I'm from the South, but I'm not from that South. You know what I'm saying? So. Let me know if I'm talking too fast for you, big dogs. But you from the land, and Earl already know how I come. So just know if anything ain't coming through away from the janky ass connection, just say the word. But I like the blind testing right with my autos because my autos can already pass the bag appeal, look just as good as photo, outdoor, indoor, whatever door. I backdoor, hey, whatever.
I've seen the fucking grows you've been growing. I follow you on social and what Earl's been pulling out with these autos, man. It's been fucking, I've been seeing some fucking fire stuff coming from the two of you, and it's fucking lethal. Now, I can't wait to smoke some of yours one day, but Big Earl's been representing your stuff well. That's all I got to say, because it tastes good, it smells good, it smokes good, and the high is nice for an auto. And we'll go into it in a little bit, but I
know we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. So let's talk a little bit about you though. How and where, since you're from the south side of Chicago, I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you've been around. Did you get your start in Chicago, or did you go where you're from now. Well, you'll tell me in a second. But how do you start growing? How do you start pheno hunting? How do you start breeding? Give us a little history about Humminbird.
So yeah, I'm Chicago born and raised. I've been located and based in San Diego for the past 5 years. I lived in LA for a couple years. But I'm a Chicagoan till Chicago ends. You know, I know some folks got a little iffy views on Ye, but I love that quote, you know. So I'm a Chicagoan, and I did start growing everything I have to thank from the plant. And as a student, I learned in Chicago. Just helped me out here. I learned a little bit out here in Cali, but not too much.
I love it. Give the props to the South Side right there. Hell yeah, I love
Yes,
it.
sir. Like, you know, I started gorilla growing and stuff back in like the Dan Ryan Woods, if you're familiar with the area, big duck. So
My Mrs. Weedman used to hang out in the Dan Ryan Woods back in the day.
hey, I know what to bring up with folks. I done had folks question my Chicago since I left. Like, hey, I'm going back, like I told you, tomorrow morning, and it's a lot of stuff folks don't realize, you know, especially with the weed and everything. But I popped my first seed in like 2008, big dog. One of my older friends, a family member, family friend, he got his first apartment once he graduated high school, and he told me, "Go ahead, try it out." I was always weird into collecting the bag seeds and stuff, and people used to call me out on that. Like when I was a little smoker, like, "Oh, I mean, it's a seed, you know, I'm trying to save them and everything. You know, who knows?" I didn't know, you know, what it would lead to, but I always had like a plethora of seeds on me. And this friend of mine was the first person to let me, other than me growing in my mammy house, you know, and getting worried about her door kicked in, like, hey, I got a closet, do whatever you want. He gave me a
There
few
you go.
lights. I popped see now I didn't write this down, but I was like when y'all asked me, I'm trying to think what the strain was. Like everybody out here be having cool strains like from High Times and the old school days like Nirvana packs and shit like that. But really all my shit was just bag seed until I really got out here and started looking into the different like available genetics to me that I have in California. Like I didn't look for that shit back in Chicago. Like I'm from the lurking, you know, thread days. I used to think the feds would take our IP addresses. Like it's crazy. We over here on Zoom together smoking this shit like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Nah, I would have never even put my face on here, big dog. But yeah, like 2008, I had like 4 plants in the closet. Did terrible. Didn't know what males were. You know, they weren't. It wasn't bud. I knew that much. You know, and after that, I just started playing around with it and popping as many as I could. Got my first female. And like I mentioned to you with the Dan Ryan Woods, I used to trek out there with like duct tape on my shoes and shit like that. Try to hide footprints, you know, water on the back and everything, carrying the garbage bags in the night. And I did a lot of gorilla growing in Chicago. Then I went to school in Southern Illinois. And that was where my next big step. I ain't been in no commercial settings like you, Earl. You know, hey, I grew. Oh yes, I got some friends in Carbondale to this day.
Those
Oh
boys in
yes, sir.
Southern Illinois can grow, but I've met a lot of good growers that came out of that farm country in Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I know a grower out of Ohio that grows for a big corporate grow now, and he grew on his dad's farm down there. Major crops. I mean, I've met Mr. G, a friend of mine who's been on the show a couple times, used to grow down in you boys down there in Southern Illinois back in the late 2000s, early 2000s, you know, probably even in the 90s and 80s before I even moved up
Mm-hmm.
here, met Mrs. Weedman. They knew how to grow. They knew farming, and they knew how to grow good weed. Just like the
Yes,
peeps in
sir.
Kentucky on the mountains down there too. You all know how to grow.
Oh yeah, I
You
know about
country
Cornbread
boys.
Mafia type shit. Yeah, like I got family out in Kentucky too. I'm a Midwest kid. I got family all through the Midwest. But I spent my time in Southern. I had a little bit of friends in like Marion, if you're familiar with Marionville and stuff like that, and down there around Carbondale. My friend, I had an Army vet friend. He was a retired from Iraq and everything. He came to learn down there in Southern, and he bought some clothes from me. I was selling clothes while I was in school, trying to make a little extra scratch while you know hustling and everything, and having jobs and being a student. And ganja's always been my reputation in Chicago. Like it's tied to me, even if I wasn't selling. Like somebody had good ganja and they bring it to me, see how it is, you know. I'm Jamaican as well. My heritage. I went through stints with Rastafarianism. I got family that's really into like, you know, real like can't even speak on type shit. Like not no rough shit, like y'all already mind shit, bad mind type shit. But it's like I learned a lot about ganja and it led me to a lot of things. And I just kind of kept growing, and this friend I had clones. So we had a partner, we all in the same class. He's like, my boy got these clones. Like, fuck seeds. He wants some seeds. I wasn't doing seeds like I'm doing now. He came through, bought a few clones, and asked me, what would you, how you feel about helping me grow them? My first consulting gig. And pretty much he had funds and access, cool white guy. He told me some stories, man. He's one of them cats that said like they raided Saddam's castle, you hear me, when they took him down type shit. He was a bad motherfucker, And he had funds, he gave my dog I got, Earl, Pepper. I got Pepper from this motherfucker. Don't lie, man. The best thing I ever got for trading some ganja for. You want a dog, man, him asked me? But I digress. So this guy, he had the funds, great, cool dude. We built a great relationship. He wanted me to teach him how to grow, essentially. And he got a couple trailers in a little trailer park. And, that man just had a bedroom. It wasn't even, just a bed, it was just like an air mattress and everything. And we did our thing. I ain't grow, no crazy square footage canopy like a big ass greenie like out here, not yet. But that was the most plants I had. And at that point, I knew my green thumb was coming in handy. And I love this shit. I still love it to this day. And I was like 19. I was almost 11 years ago. Shit, yeah. Like,
when
that's what then
you got some miles?
No, I don't got nothing. I'm still a baby. Like I tell folks, I'm still a student to the plant. I ain't learned shit yet. I'm still learning every day with her. But
that's the mentality you
folks
have to
try to
have.
pull my folks out here in Cali try to pull my whole card a few times with that growing shit, especially coming from the Midwest. They all talk about, everything east of Cali is east. It don't matter, we from the Midwest, we from Baltimore, we from Florida. It's all east. So they hear my age and they question my age and they're like, "Oh, when did you get into it?" You heard what I said, 2008. Shit, it ain't the 90s. I ain't the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. I wasn't doing shit like that in the 90s. I can't even front it. That's just badass. Y'all real outlaws. Whoever was in that, yeah. Y'all real outlaw, man. Yeah, But I did my part.
When you come to Chicago and we have a smoke sesh, I'll tell you a little history of. No one really knows the history of me. I keep the little
I tell you, we can chat up in IRL. We can talk about real things, But this is funny, Like I said, thank y'all for having me on here. But like I said, that was about 2011, 2012. After that, I came back home. I was growing until I came out here. So shit, I can't speak on how I was growing out there, but I didn't really start chucking though anything like seed making till after that friend gave me those trailers. We had so much.
When did you start the Chicago Seed Company?
Okay, so CSC, this was really just me. No one wanted my seeds, Earl. People wanted my seeds, but none of the banks. You know what I'm saying? None of the distributors, vendors, and I'm not gonna say what I think, but I call a spade when it's a spade when I see it. You know what I'm saying? So I took it for what it was at face value and knew and thought I just need to work more. So I figured I'll just sell my seeds myself through a seed brand I make, a seed company. And I didn't feel right saying the little mountain town I had out here in Cali. I didn't want to appropriate their name. They took me in there. I'm a member of this. I'm a member out here, but at the time I didn't want to do that. And I was like, what can I call it if I'm going with this HumminBird Hills crap? And Chicago Seco was like I just told y'all, everything I learned and I'm gratitude for the plant is from Chicago. So it wasn't no Seco yet.
You should have called it the Dan Ryan Woods Company.
See, that would have rocked back home. People would have loved that. They love our name Chicago strains because Earl, I got a red line. I got a couple things homage back to home. But you're right. That would have been cold. Don't give me that. I'm gonna cut you a check, big dog, if I do something with that. I like that. Dan Ryan Woods. We can do that. We can do some pre-rolls. Dan Ryan Logs, you hear me? I guess so.
Mrs. Weedman, we'll go to the Dan Ryan Woods and smoke that in memory of that grow.
For sure. I'm with it. I can show y'all the exact spots I used to have the plants there, man. But I just started up pretty much because no one wanted to take my seeds at the time. I got some banks I'm working with now and looking to expand with distributors now, but at the time no one wanted to, so I went with Chicago Seco and all these little pop up ones that's been coming up since COVID. They wasn't here, so I took it. I said, anybody want to fight me for it, they can come get me. They can come. We can go to court. That's why we can lead to the story with HumminBird when y'all run the HumminBird Hills. Why is no G? But Chicago Seco, yeah, that's just because no one wanted to take my seeds, big dog.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think there's a few banks out there like that, but I appreciate it, man, because those are my favorite banks. That's really where most of my work's at, and that's where you can find like you're not paying, $20 a seed, and you can find something crazy rare and unique and 5 killers in a 10-pack.
Yeah, like I'm all with that big hunt shit, but I know one thing I pride myself on. You can pop one pack of my shit and you're gonna find something you like. Cause everybody I learned under and what I was raised on is like, you can do those hunts. That's what that's for. But when you want to find something special, you should be able to find something. If you only got 10 seeds, you only got 13 seeds out of a nug you really like. All them ain't gonna be keepers. Everything ain't gonna be a chem where you only got 4 seeds and you get chem D, chem cis. Everything's a hitter. That makes some phenomenal progeny. But I got friends out here that are just getting into breeding, and they pop one feminized seed from a cross they made. They got 8 seeds, big dog, and they win the Zaza Olympics type shit.
Yeah.
That shit crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that hunting shit's fun, and if you got the access and resources, it's cool to do. But that's kind of like back to resources and doing what I needed to do. Like, I'm not an out the bootstrap type of guy, but I'm doing it out the mud, So Chicago Seco was made because of I wanted to have my own seeds on there, but then it's evolved now with my brand evolving with HumminBird Hills, where I can carry friends of mine and help out people that are not only, breeding with my stuff, cool, but I like to bring, spotlight to a lot of Midwestern folks. I got friends out in Ohio and Michigan. I got a lot of family ties in Michigan. Like, I just try to bring on a lot of people that I can help that helped me early on. Mm-hmm. Yep, you already know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's how Chicago Seco started up. And I started that like in LA. I wasn't even out here in Dago at the time. That was like right when I came to Cali, because I was like, it was no seed companies like that for real. No one was saying that with Chicago or like bean companies. Like, it's a bunch now. And I even have seen some people confuse me with some other ones back home, just like with the HumminBird Hill. When you put a G in it, like, it'll show a whole different farm. Like, that's not me. I don't know them. Don't support them. That's Colorado. I don't know about that. I'm in Cali. But yeah, Chicago was like started like in what was that, 2018? Yeah, 2018,
Nice.
right before COVID.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Nice. Hell yeah. How the inspiration behind the name though, like, and the G, right? Earl, we were talking about this last night. So where's the inspiration come from?
So a lot of folks think it was just like kind of like a Jungle Boy thing where I just used a Z instead of a S, but it really, I didn't even think about like getting a screen name or doing like internet stuff or like names down the line. We were just trying to come up with a name for the property we have now, the farm we're working with. And I've always been enamored by like those cool Western type farms, like, the Smith farm, the Smith ranch, and me and my fam always kind of wanted, like, my old man loves horses, so he always wanted like a ranch or a farm. And the property where we're at, we're working to get more livestock and animals and things like that, but we didn't have any at the time. But we noticed first when moving here there's a lot of hummingbirds. We seen hummingbirds back in Chicago and everything, but it was a bunch of them at this like property when we first came. And we really were drawn to, I love birds, but the hummingbirds were really, beautiful, crazy, active and everything. And we were trying to come up with like farm names or property names just to call, like, oh, let's put a little sign out front. And it came to me like walking the property with them, looking at the birds and everything. Like, my mom pointed out at the time, like, the national bird for Jamaica is a hummingbird. And I was like, damn, no shit.
Ah.
And the terrain we're on, right? Y'all are from the Midwest, so you guys know. And I know you've been out here a little in the West, so you know how hilly it is out here, Weedman. But it's really flat back home. I tell folks all the time, you leave Chicago, it's just corn eats soy and shit like that. Fucking just agriculture.
That's it.
Out here is very mountainous. It's very hilly, and we're on like a bunch of hills like around us. So I just was thinking about the hummingbirds and everything, and trying to represent my little Jamaican heritage and something that I thought would stick out a little differently. And HumminBird Hills just came to me. It's not even like, it was just like,
I like the humming without the G because hummingbirds make the hum with their wings. They have that sound, that specific sound when so if you look at it that way, I do like the name because they hum when they fly. They make that specific sound that only a hummingbird makes. So kind of, to me, when I was thinking about your name, I'm like, I don't know if you named it for that reason, but I like the humming. It's nice.
Yeah, and like I tell, it's like humming, like you're humming along, the weed so good, it's humming, you just humming, it's so good, But the thing also was like how we say hummingbird, like Jamaicans don't really say hummingbird, we say humming, like hummingbird, it just rolls off. So I didn't even think about the G until I went socials and tried to get hummingbird, and it's like people had the name already, no one had hummingbird, and we got the little sign made, I was telling y'all, for the property, and it was hummingbird. Our neighbor made it humming with an apostrophe. That's why I joked with you earlier. Like, it's no apostrophe, but the original draft of HumminBird Hills has an apostrophe. It's just humming apostrophe bird hills. Yeah, man. But on paper and what the courts need, it's HumminBird Hills. No G, no apostrophe, just hummingbird is one word, no G. I tried to get the hummingbird, but I couldn't persuade the original holder. I tried to buy it, he didn't want it. So yeah, but that's why it's no G.
I tried to buy the Weedman 420 from somebody, and that person never answered. One post, one follower, and that's it. And I'm like, I offered him everything. I'm like, nope.
Went through the whole checklist. I tried everything involved. Yeah.
How we had to do the Weedman 420 Chronicles instead. So I tried. I feel you on that. Use the name, but I like it. It's catchy. I like humming. Like I said, because now I know it's how from where you're from, Jamaica, how they say it. Plus, it's your country's bird, which is even better. And there's a lot of fucking hummingbirds in California, and I've been up and down the one. I've been to 101. I've made, and you find a bush. They're all over the place, man, flying like crazy. So you see them in Chicago and Illinois, but not as much as you see them out in Cali.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's like
not the colors out there are way vibrant.
Yeah, like I enjoy like the bird population, and like I've always like I didn't get to do this type of shit until I came out here to California, but like bird watching is like so crazy to me, and like I love like nature out here. Like I'm just surrounded by nature now compared to like Dan Ryan Woods was the closest woods we had. You know what I was talking about? So I'm in the back county, big dog. I'm out here in the woods. What's our elevation? 4,700 feet in the air. We are mountains. You know what I'm saying? I call it HumminBird Hills, but it's on a mountain. You know what I'm saying? And it's great to see the you don't see fauna like this.
Next time Earl stops by, I told him I'm going to take him. I told him I'm going to bring some. I told him I'm going to take him the rainbow cone because he's never been. You've been to Rainbow Cone before on Western?
I'm going there Wednesday.
All right. So see Earl. So what I'm going to do is when Earl comes back into town, I'm going to take him and his wife to me and Mrs. Weedman. I'm going to take him to and I'm going to take him past Dan Ryan Woods just so he can see what we're talking about, so he can visualize what you did back in the day.
We're going to smoke some Ursula berries.
Hey man, you're smoking it not too far from one of my childhood homes, man. So that's amazing to me that you can even say something like that. Because if I can't make it to have that, that sit there with y'all, I'm going there Wednesday, big dog, and I'm going to go get the whole little the rainbow cone or whatever. But the thing is, Earl, you know, you might not appreciate the ice cream. Everybody doesn't appreciate ice cream. It's more of a Chicago like nostalgic thing for me personally, and like neighborhood thing. But it's good if you enjoy ice cream. Like it ain't like, you know, yeah, you know, it's a good ice cream. Yeah, yeah. You'll enjoy it. You can't
It's
go wrong with food.
If
in
you're
Chicago.
not, if you're like, what the hell are these 7 flavors? I'm like, don't worry about it. You're gonna like it. I don't get it in a cone because I'd seen so many fucking cones on the ground in my years of going there. You see, like because the Earl, I mean, they put this much ice cream, and here's the cone. Yeah. This is the cone. This is the ice cream.
It's like 7 flavors, bro. It's like 7 flavors. They just stuck.
So there's been a lot of kids crying on the side of the street when they fucking take a look at that. They goes plop.
Oh man, yeah, it's like, you know, you
many
see
mishaps,
like
many bombs falling.
It's like those children's stories, bro, where you see the kid crying over ice cream, bro. Like, see mad kids do that shit in my life, man. It's just like, I ain't never been. I'm a big guy like y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'm a big guy, you know. I don't spill my ice cream shit. But get a chance to go there. Mm-hmm.
And about 2 years ago, I stopped doing it on the cone, and I just started getting it in a cup because it almost happened to me once, and it fell in my hand. I put it right back on the cone. I said, fuck this cone. I'm doing it in a cup from here on out. Caught it.
For real. Nah, I'm going to have to be like you, big dog. I'm probably going to do the bowl when I come back. Yeah, because I ain't got my reflexes like I used to. I ain't catching that. Yeah.
Earl got to do the cone, though. He's got to experience the cone the first time. That's what it is. You got to experience it falling and dropping like a bomb and plop. Oh.
And if you're going to be blazed there, it's going to be great. It's great ice cream. Have some fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Because I brought up a different place. What was the place I brought up that you said was closed?
Oh, Margie's way up. Margie's way up in the north side. It's too far away for you to go all the way up there.
I'm not familiar with Margie's. Yeah.
Yeah, Margie's a great old school sit down Sunday place where they got the old school Sundays. But Cupid Candies. Do you remember Cupid Candies over here over in Oak Lawn?
Sir. Yes, sir.
My daughter
right
worked there. That place was the shit.
Earl,
we were so bummed it closed down during COVID.
Oh.
You would have close enough to get to Margie's as you can get, probably even better. That's a South Side staple. They had a chocolate factory over on the east side over on Western, like 83rd or some shit, or 78th or some shit. That's where they made all their chocolate, and then they had a candy shop, a chocolate shop, and then an ice cream old school Sunday shop. With me and Mrs. Weedman, that caramel, that hot fudge, and that marshmallow was the shit. Ugh.
Yeah, I've just gotten candy from them, but that sounds amazing. You know, I'm sad that place is closed down because I know exactly what he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Dang. So we need to go. So when did you get into autos? We could talk about Southside Chicago all day. When did you get into autos?
So autos. My first stint was like when I came out here. I actually didn't run any back home. I came across Lowrider a few times and had some big dogs that like had the packs of it, and I've tried it. Never really vibed with it. I did makeup. It's like supposed to be like a blueberry Mazar type cross with the Ruderalis, but from my experience with it, I've even tried to breed with it a little bit early on. I didn't like any of them, so I steered clear of them with all my like growing in Chicago with them. But when I came out here to Cali, due to my like living situations when I first came out here, I was like moving around a lot in LA. So I started playing around with some Rock Bud gear, if you're familiar. I'm pretty sure Earl knows who Rock Bud is, but if you get a chance, Weedman, check him out. He's one of the few folks I definitely give my props to and respect in this Autoflower shit still. And it wasn't even like Mephisto or somebody like that that's been in these autos. Like I knew about messing them, but I was drawing the rock. I'm all about like customer service, and like people ask me a lot of questions about my strains. I like to know about them. I'm like a real geek with the lineages and like knowing all about what's going into what I'm making. So when I reached out to Rock early, he always like responded back to me and gave me information about strains when I needed to know about them when I first was starting. And I popped a few of his strains, and I was blown away by what I thought was an auto. Like it was nothing like I remember seeing in like my time in the Midwest, and I was really amazed by like how much like legwork has been done with them, where they have like really evolved way past whatever Lowrider was like even a decade ago. Like, I mean, the stuff folks and like peers of mine are doing, like myself that I like to be around, autos will look entirely different if we're not already getting the photo sizes in the next 3-5 years. At least on my time table, like I'm already looking at it. Like when you see folks with big plots of them and running them in a massive amount out here in California and like different places like Michigan and back home now with the day neutralness, like a lot of folks are seeing their advantages in them. But when I grew rocks at the time, I expected a low rider. I'm saying, ain't gonna be too much bag appeal, ain't gonna like the smoke. But one of my rams, the Passion Punch from Rock, he first released that Passion Punch, the V1. I had a purple pheno. I was never a big fan of the purple strains. I loved them. They had bag appeal. Folks enjoy them when you're into, you know, traditional market type ventures. But I wasn't a big fan. I love them now, and I'm not like biased to anything ganja related now. That was like young, ignorant me. But this purple strain, I didn't think it was gonna smoke. I didn't think shit of it. It was a beautiful plant, one of the most beautiful plants I grew early on. It didn't get super big. It started out, I fucked them up. I was beating my autos ass. I still beat my autos today, but stress wise and like the grower I was that many years ago compared to now, it's like night and day. And like it took everything. It took all the stress, had amazing bag appeal, strawberry terps. I wasn't really. I've had stuff that tastes like, you know, the names and smells early on, sure, but this was really strawberry. So when he said he used the strawberry Kush, I could actually see, you know, that was like one of the aha moments for me. Like this ain't just, you know, hydro or loud or just good, you know, bud or whatever. It's really nuances to this breed and stuff. And shoot, I made like 4 crosses. That's how we got Ursula Bear. If it wasn't for Rock, I, I made 4
Pretty
strains.
strain.
Yeah, and that wasn't even with the Passion Punch. I'm still trying to recapture that Passion Punch today with shit Rock has been giving me, and I'm trying to get. I did a Passion Punch to Gouda, Earl. You remember Planter's Punch? That had nothing. That was nothing like that strain. It was amazing. It was good selections. Don't get me wrong, but that fucking Passion Punch I had, it was a green pheno I used for Planter's Punch. But I got that stuff from Rock, and I started playing around with other autos. I made Ursula Berry's cross, which is Legendberry OG. Okay, so that's another one from Rock. But instead of the Strawberry Kush, he put the Legend OG in it. And I'm a big gassy OG Kush type of fellow. I like the green varietals. I like the old school gassy stuff, Afghanis, you know, things like that. So I crossed this to another. He's not as prominent as he should be. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But Smoke Smith Genetics is another autoflower breeder. He does a lot of autoflower work. Most folks that are in the autoflower circles are familiar with him. But shout out to Smoke Smith Genetics. He's also a fellow black breeder. It's not a lot of us, so I got drawn to him early on, being like, damn, there's not too many brown or black I can support in this. And I stumbled upon him. We, like I mentioned, good customer service, asking me, you know, I can ask you shit about strains. You got receipts and shit. You got tax, you know, you got pictures. You can show me stuff about your moms and dads and stuff like that you're making. He was always very receptive to me, especially as a younger black breeder trying to get into it. So I didn't know I was breeding. I just wanted to make some shit with some autos. And I got his Blue Bear OG and Teddy Graham's OG, okay? So Teddy Graham's OG is a cross with the Blue Bear and like some black Obsidian. It's another auto from like out there in Europe or something. He did his like Black Dahlia almost or something, if you're familiar with some of those older strains with like the black in them, like Black Widow type, you know, one of those type strains they made out there with the rurales. So that was crossed to his Blue Bear. I made 2 crosses with the Blue Bear OG to Sweet Cheeses, which is a cheese strain. You can see I was playing with cheeses early on. I always like the cheeses. So this was a strain called Cheeses. No, it wasn't the Jesus Christ. It was Sweet Cheeses, okay? Sweet Cheeses. This is from a guy named 360 Grower. He's not too active now, but that's one of the big homies too. I crossed those 2 to the Blue Bear, and I swapped out the parents. So like I had Blue Bear OG to Sweet Cheeses, then Sweet Cheeses to Blue Bear OG. Those are okay, right? Nothing really special. Then I did some work with the Teddy Grahams. Okay, the Teddy Grahams was like his. It wasn't really cookie, but it wasn't as OG and like it had more. What's the word I'm looking for? Not size, but her vigor was way better and it was taller. I wanted bigger autos. So I got an amazing Teddy Graham male. I used two males and I named them Shaq and Penny because it was a smaller, just like he flowered quick as fuck. One of the quickest flowering autos I've had, like 40 some days, almost done and shit. But he was flowering like 11 days, like just like getting the leaves on, like still in veg or like one of the craziest things I've come around. So quick and small. And then I had the robust Shaq version that was like a big dumbass male, dumping pollen everywhere, flowered late. I mean, he went like 100+ days, just just like dynasty shit, just running, just getting everything pregnant in his fucking path. That man was dominant. You hear me? So I made two crosses with the Teddy Grahams with those two males, an open pollination setup. I crossed the Legendary OG and the Passion Punch, but it wasn't that purple pheno. I tried twice with Passion Punch and breeding. I don't usually do that. I don't like going back to things or remaking stuff unless I really like them. And I didn't get no purple then. I popped 2 packs from Rock back then, didn't get purple again. And it was cool. I liked what I saw, but I didn't breed with them. I still have those seeds. I have all of those seeds to this day. But it's like, I might give them to you, Earl. You might preserve them. I only got like 5. Maybe you could do something with them. But Legendary to fucking the Legendary OG to Teddy Graham. Hey, you enjoyed her week, man. You know, you had a little smoke of Ursula Berry. Earl, thank you. You know, you did the BX with her. You made a bunch of crosses with offspring of her. I mean, she's like my flagship. That was my first flagship. It wasn't even like some photo or I mean, Ursula Berry started everything. Like I made F2s like right away after making the F1s. The F3s have made so many crosses out there already. Shit, Earl had fun with the F4s. He got some stuff. Yeah. So I've been playing with the autos.
What's the one thing we should look out for in 2023? Give us the one. Up. Give us the one. The knockout punch.
Hopefully we have this little session. You know, this week I come back home. Everything goes great, and God willing, I get back from Chicago. I was eyeing Earth Day, but it might be May. Some folks are gonna hate that if they hear this or see this, but it might be May if it's not Earth Day. I'm dropping the Gamma line. The Gamma line will consist of only 6 strains. I'm only gonna make 6 crosses. I'm not releasing the F2s. Earl, you might get some F2s if I make some more because you're a friend. Yeah, I'm not releasing the F2s. I'm keeping the F2s in house. Yeah, sir. I got you. And I got 6 strains. I'm gonna have a collab in there with my friend Alabrije. Local 420 is in there. Did I hit the Void Walker? I can't remember, but I think I may show Earl the lineup I got coming because I'm crossing the one after that. So Gamma line is coming out. Gamma cheese line will be coming out in April, early May at the latest. And then after that, for summer release, I got Straw Goo, which is the half sibling of Gamma cheese, where instead of the Bruce Banner 3, I crossed Strawberry Milk and Cookies from Night Owl to the Gouda. And I didn't release these. Only Daz has some, and one person who bought one of my I did like 2 box sets. Never did a box set. I did like a whole Gouda set, and for like a couple hundred, and somebody bought it. I gave him like 2 seeds of that. But this, I only had enough for myself to make more, and that's coming out. I'm hoping in end of May, June, to kind of give a little space and let folks get the Gamma and enjoy her. But those 2 are the next drops for myself. So that's what I'd say you have to look forward to from HumminBird Hills is the Gamma cheese line in April and Straw Goo line in May.
They all sound wonderful. I can't wait for Earl to grow them and I get some.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you some beans. I'll bring I got some beans on the way to home, but the new stuff as soon as it's ready, I'll get some to Earl and I'll get some to y'all like easy peasy. Because I want you to I know you're Sweet, playing around with growing again. It's like, yeah, I know you got your little garden. Yeah.
I got my little garden. I smile. Earl took a couple of cuts of that eat I'm growing right now. He got a couple of cuts yesterday. I'm pretty happy that Easter Bunny. That Easter bunny came early though. You see that pic?
Yeah.
I've talked about autoflowering on the Chronicles briefly, like when I give like, you know, just a little history about certain stuff. So, but for all of our newbie listeners or newbie growers, you know, what is an autoflower? And just brief, like couple minutes, like what is an autoflower? How is it created? And how did it get created? Like brief little 2-3 minute history. We could probably talk for an hour on this, so maybe
Yeah,
you
time me,
come back for
Earl.
well, here's the thing. We do another show called Burp in the Bag.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
come back on for that, and then we could talk about the whole history of autoflowering. So that'll be the next show. We would love to have you back on again. So, but give us just a little
Yeah.
before we go into the meat and potatoes, or I would like to say the Dan Ryan Woods talk. Go ahead and just give us a little brief autoflower history.
Okay, so if I can do a quick little summary from at least my standpoint, they're made from a ruderalis stock from like Russia to like Euro-Asia environments, like very hardy, resistant plants. They're literally evolved from ditchweed in a sense, where everybody knows what ditchweed is in America. Imagine what ditchweed is like in motherfucking Russia. You know what I'm saying? Like the plant's hardy. That's why people mostly like it. It's bred with a day neutral species of the ganja we all love, Cannabis ruderalis. It day neutral. A lot of folks love autoflower. That's the colloquial term we all use that everybody knows. But I like day neutral with some of my peers use, where it doesn't matter where or how much time you got light growing. Anybody can grow them like a tomato. I always use a tomato as my reference to let folks get into them. So they're not foolproof, but you can't get any more simpler if you want to get into growing ganja, in my opinion. They're amazing. You can work with whatever lighting systems you have. They're day neutral.
So before Earl takes over and you guys get into the Dan Ryan Woods talk, I just got to say something though, because when I started the show in 2019, we started the Weedman 420 Chronicles, and even like when I started really studying the plant. Now, I mean, I've been smoking weed since I was 13. I mean, I did everything I did from then until now, but really started digging into like knowing the history of the plant, the history of we're going back millions of years when how long ago they discovered it, and just learning all about all I could, taking courses and stuff. But my thing was this: 4 years ago, even 2 years ago, let's just say, when I first started, when 3 years ago, when Illinois went rec, and Med was able to grow 5 plants, and I remember looking into, it was even before I met Big Earl, and I remember just asking people what kind of seeds, what kind of beans should I get, where do I go about it. And I remember one person saying to me, he goes, "Don't ever buy autoflowers." Remember I told you this earlier? I think I told you this last night. Like
I got
autoflowers was like the people. Right. So my question is, yeah, Earl, I talked to you about this too, about autoflowers and how bad of a name it's gotten. And for some reasons why now what I'm seeing though, and actually smoking, but also seeing what's being grown auto wise, I have and what I'm learning from you today and what I've learned by reading, and I'm seeing a little bit of different turnaround on this.
It's all about speed too. You're going to get a harvest very quickly, usually, even compared to photos. If you're working with clones, it's a lot of folks like to put.
I'm impressed what I'm seeing, so I'm gonna let Earl take over though, and let you guys talk to Dan Ryan Woods talk. Go ahead, Big Earl.
To me, autoflower, it's almost like LED. LED's been around for a while, but it was super shitty. And then it was worked, and people worked on it, and the industry worked on it, and then it's to a place now to where LED is the best. And I'm not saying autoflower or photoperiod is the best, but it's been worked so much now that we're seeing it's really nice. It's for the exact same reason we have super high THC, all kinds of plants. It's because we work them to that, and we don't see the CBD there yet because we started working that later than we started working THC. For the same reason we see indicas with like a higher THC usually than a sativa, because we've worked them harder, because we've been indoors for like the whole history of our lineage of the plant, our modern lineage at least. And so I feel like too, so I always was told like, no, autoflower, no, bad. you want to get rid of that. And then I gave them a couple of chances, and I did not grow them right. It was my fault, and I was like, oh yeah. But then I started getting into some hummingbird stuff, and started actually like seeing some like breeders where people were popping out just every fucking cut. I'm like, man, these look really nice. And when you do them right, it's kind of crazy how vigorous and just they're there. Like they're there for me at least. I think also when you go to Autoflower, just the industry of Autoflower is a little bit more, I don't want to say kind, but I feel like there's a little bit of a different etiquette. Like the Autoflower, everybody is like, yes, share, share, share. It's all of that. And the photo period definitely has a lot of breeders like that. But there are also a lot of breeders in the photo period that are like, don't share. That's my strain, or I need credit for that, or I need credit for this. Do you feel that?
I don't think you want my opinion on that. We're gonna go away from autos, cause like I tell folks, me going legal now. I tell everybody I'm going legal now this year. You gotta have me sign contracts and NDAs of when we ain't friends no more. And like, Earl, you one of my few friends of this shit now, man. I tell folks, Cali folks fucking some shit up. I'm at arms length with a lot of folks out here, but I'm showing love to Midwest, man. And you familiar with Huncho, my first tester, right, Earl? Huncho out of Chicago. He is doing a lot of stuff with selections for me personally with photos, right? So we have a lot of HumminBird Hills, Honcho selections. Earl, you sent me some clones. Mr. Weedman mentioned it. I didn't want to say anything about clones, but only one of them girls made it, brother. I'll text you about what happened.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I don't do a lot of yeah, I know you got me on it. We'll talk about that. But when people, they have that out here a lot with like elite cuts, these California cuts, some of these $1,000 cuts and crazy amount of money cuts where people don't want you to share sometimes. I'm very open source. Um, First off, I never even really wanted to sell seeds. I kind of just got into it for like people were like, why don't you do something with it instead of just giving them out? I've given out more seeds than I've sold still to this day, even with building up HumminBird Hills as a brand. Like I've given so much out. Earl knows how to. I'm very charitable to the community, like as far as cannabis goes, no matter where. Like folks have helped me when I've been in need with this, and I always try to help folks. So like when people say stuff like that, if they don't have me really sign something or we're not like on the best of terms, like I'm sorry. Like, everything's not gonna be getting put out, but it's 2023. A lot of the strains we lost and stuff like we can't get back that some of these kids will never see. It's like the skunk argument. Is skunk still real? Like a lot of that stuff was lost because somebody kept it in their garage or on the hill somewhere, like on the big hill. Like we'll never see those strains because y'all were stingy with them. It's like if you're not going to at least like share them, put them somewhere. Like I don't even want to say that because some of these companies have been like preserving and trying to do libraries have done snake shit. Like look at Phylos. Like everybody out here hates Phylos. Like, you mentioned that those guys did like took half of the breeder stuff out here and just said they weren't going to do anything with it breeding wise or it's just going to be stored and preserved and then started their own company off of it. Like you can't even trust like third party sources to like preserve your stuff outside of your own in-house like needs. Like that's one of the goals I have with HumminBird Hills. Like I'm not into tissue culture yet, but tissue culture is like one of the best ways I think right now and cleanest for preserving your like strains that are legendary and whatever you're doing in-house. And that's probably the only thing like one of the downfalls of Autoflower. If you're not making seeds with them girls, you can clone. Don't get me wrong. Like y'all said, we get a chance to break some myth busters on some autos. We can have some fun with that shit. I love doing that day to day, folks. Saw me put in autos and seed sprouters the other day. We're like, what you doing? You got to transplant them. I know. Y'all know how many days you got to transplant them? No, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
You think people have a problem growing them right now? Like, do you think that they're not growing them right? Like that a lot of people get them and are pushing them like 24 hours, or maybe having them in the wrong kinds of pots, or because I remember that was my problem at first, and then you helped me through a lot of it. Honestly, like I was like, bro, what's going on here? And you're like, try this, try that, and I was like, I didn't even realize that was an option, to be honest with you.
Yeah, bro, because you got a crazy ass setup. I love your setup. Like, I mean, your photo gals are going crazy. Like, it's like it's a learning curve to them. Like the thing is, like it's good for folks that aren't predetermined into their ways, that already have a set thing with like ganja when they come into breeding, like newcomers. And a lot of folks, were trying to get in the gardens in COVID. I saw, at least on my end. I got a lot of soccer ladies, soccer moms, and older women and folks that are just trying to have something to do, keep them off the streets even, or something like positive to do while they were down during the lockdown. And they just pop them like tomatoes, like I said. Even my neighbor down the street, Gladys, can pop some. She can have a fucking garden going with her daffodils, whatever she's doing. But when you think of stuff like how you said switching up little things, it's like I tell folks that already know what they're doing. If you got something to set up, keep it simple. It's a weed at the end of the day, like I always tell folks. If you can grow some shit, don't overstress it. I'm not one of them guys that really do all that. Like I've had roster studies, man. The plant's a plant. I do it. It's natural, and I let God handle the way, man. I don't care what happened with them. It's like I don't do the most. I keep it simple, let them grow. But I have my set ways and practices I do with autos. Like I wanted to, if I had enough label space, I would put like how I grow them. Like, oh, I use 5 gallons only. Don't put them in a 3-gallon unless you're trying to see what they can do for you, or if that's all you got. You know what I mean? Or if you have amazing bed or tray systems like you, or nice space, you can. They need space to stretch their feet. Big roots equal big fruits. And a lot of folks try to make the autos go with what their schedule is. You can't do that. Autos are on their own schedule. You want to play with the plant, you gotta look at different things. You're gonna play with photos, play with them how you want to and what works for you. But with autos, sometimes you can't approach the same way you do your photos. And Earl's like living proof of that. He's seen that. Like he grows amazing photos. Now he's one of the best. I already tell him I be talking my shit in them DMs, don't we, bro? I'm like, man, you in that new wave with me, bro. I don't know how I'm an Autoflower authority right now, but since shout out to Big Al when y'all get him on here. I was hoping he'd be on this bitch with me, talk some shit with Big Dog. But he shouted out the kid. I got some eyes on me. I'm just trying to keep it up. And you're one of the few. I don't got a lot of people that I like to put the spotlight on or bring up with me. You know what I mean? So you definitely are up there with some of the best autoflowers. Breeders alone, I don't really be giving a fuck. I'll be talking shit out here in Cali. I'll be like, I don't care what photo, auto, whatever the case may be. What's up? But yeah, I do 5-gallon plots. Yeah,
I like that
for real.
Could you do 3-gallon pots, or has it had
if you
to be
got
5-gallon?
And you just like the thing is, you're just not going to get, like, in my opinion, like I tell folks, you get like 2 to 4 ounces right now. Well, actually, I got to edit those for the new shit because somebody got 5 recently. So 3 to 5 ounces off a 5-gallon. So it's 3 to 5 ounces off a gallon, 5-gallon. If you're you only got 3, go for it. I've had people grow monsters. Earl can send you. I'll send you some 1 gallon. I got some 1-gallon monsters. Like people that do some of the salts. Like I'm all organic and like all those fun little words out here in Cali. I'm small batch, organic, hand grown, hand water, dip that, whatever. But I see some folks with salt, shit, and hydro. Put them bitches in a 1 gallon. Shit, you can damn near get. I see like a 5 foot. One of Gouda's siblings, Cheddar, got like 5 feet in a 1 gallon.
I've grown in 5-gallon and 7-gallon, but just in that tent I have is small. A 3-gallon pot works great for me. I mean, I've grown organic where I had to go up in pot size too. It's just, and that little tent is just tough. But I just, like I said, I like growing in a little 3-gallon pot, just because it's nice and simple and it doesn't take up too much room. So I can get that shit spreading. But yeah, I just wanted to ask because I didn't know if there was a pot size. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That should be fine with the setup you have. I tell folks all the time, what I like to do is treat it like, your garden is a canvas, canopy, whatever you want to do it. You got negative space, right? You got a few plants in there. You throw a 1 gallon auto somewhere. Throw all that negative space you have, even on the side where you think your light's not reaching, they don't need much. I've seen some amazing windowsill grows on purpose, and I've done intentional stress testing. Like my stress testing is
Mrs. Weedman's gonna take a couple of the autos and put them in and do a little windowsill grow. She's so excited because it's an auto. She could when she saw the packs that Earl gave. I said, "These are autos." She goes, "Oh, I'm planting. I'm gonna put them on the window like he said we could do." I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead, take it. Just if it's a male, get rid of it."
I'm like, "Hey, unless you want to start checking, big dog, let me know. We grow them bitches out. Won't we, Earl?"
Yeah.
For real.
Dude, I've never had a plant dump like that.
I like how I'm glad we got a chance to talk and do this because my signal is not the greatest. It's falling out right now, but got most of it done.
Yeah, so he froze a little bit, but that's all right. We'll keep on going. So I'm looking forward to growing growing those autos that I got from you that were bred, and super stoked and trying it in the tent. And Humminbird said he saw the grow, my little setup, so that'll work in there at 3 gallon. I mean, like I said, I can go up to 5, so it's not so bad. But how is the
something he brought up that is definitely worth emphasizing? So I typically can grow 1 gallons, and I'll put like 6 in a 4x8 area just in 1 gallons. And with photo periods, I can that root mass, even though it's a very small pot, I can grow large plants. With autos, it is much harder to grow them. Like they really are like. So if they're in a plastic pot, they would get stressed. If I kept them in a cloth pot, I wouldn't get that root stress on them, but it's much harder for me to get them bigger. And so I've done 1s and 3s, and I think what I'm going to do with them, because I like.
You've done it in cloth, not plastic, so I'd have to go to a cloth.
That was one of the
so
first mistakes I made. I was in plastic, and I was like, "Why isn't this working?" And it was because my plants were getting a little root bound, and the plant was just very sensitive to it.
Gotcha. All right, so I'll go to a 5. I got some 5-gallon cloth pots. I'll do the 5-gallon then. That's not a big deal. So good. That now I'm glad I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I understand that. It's dope. So so your experience of doing that, Earl, getting some of his genetics too, now crossing it and doing different things. What is the like? How's it been going? I mean, like, how are you feeling about autos now?
It's way different because photo period is like a patience game. It's like a waiting game. You grow a plant out, you take clones, you wait to see what it does. For me, I like to wait 2 generations because the plant is way different from seed and clone for me. And a lot of times I like it way better. A plant that I don't like very much from a seed, I'll like way better after a clone. And so I usually grow out a clone generation also. You can't do that with autoflowers. Autoflowers, you have to be like, okay, this is like so. So the best you can do with autoflowers is run it, and you say, okay, this is what I'm seeing out of it. I know a plant that's going to look like this is going to express like this. That's the kind of plant that I want to advance. That's the kind of lineage or the kind of expressions that I want to advance, and you have to just go for it, and you don't know, and so you might have a plant that because I always will grow like 10 if it's like my own the last one 15, and I just pick the one that looks the best at the time that it's time to cross. And with photos, it's just not like that. Photos,
I like that.
You get to wait and see and really like make it a more, maybe not more educated, but like easier decisions. And autoflowers, you have to be like, all right, I'm confident in this. I'm fucking going for it. And I love it, dude. It's fun. I love it a lot.
Humminbird, we were talking about like the transplanting and then the cloth pot versus the hard plastic. Because I grow in hard plastic and I grow in cloth too. I've done both. When I have 3-gallon hard plastic, that's what I use. But I'll probably run. I got some 5-gallon cloth. I'll probably run some of those autos in and give that a try. He just gave the explanation of what the difference was and why, but learned that from you. So it's fucking pretty. I wouldn't have known that at all. I probably would have asked after I fucked it up. What did I do wrong? Cloth pot, man. Try it next time.
Yeah. Apologies on the Wi-Fi, like I was telling you guys, but it's before it knocks out again. If I can answer this for y'all quickly, so cloth pots are really good. I like to use those for just production or testing out some strains. I'll do cloth and I'll sometimes add like those little like I'll punch holes in them so I can tie them down, manipulate the plants, different training methods and shit like that. I'm actually running one of my next projects I'm going to start up is going to be with the 91 bananas from Night Owl, and they're regs. So I'm not really running a lot of regs, period, like photo period or Autoflower, except from folks like Earl and like myself. I'm really doing a lot of in-house things. I'm not really playing around. I don't have to anymore. Like I used to. I had to like before COVID, I was buying seeds like a madman. My vault's insane. Like I don't need it though. Like the last 2 years out here in California, I barely bought any seeds. Between the friends I'm making that are like cool kick-ass breeders like Earl and just badass like traditional market legends and stuff like that. I haven't really bought many seeds, so I'm doing a lot of in-house stuff. And these auto regs I'm running from Daz and them are like 91 bananas. I just got another pack from my good friend Flammulated Al. It's only like 3 seeds each, okay? So in the onset that I get all balls in that bitch because I have terrible luck with males. Earl will tell you. We get 6 boys and shit, right? I'm gonna pop each one of these in 15 gals just for fucking shits and giggles and science, as I keep telling the younger ones under me. And I'm gonna see how big we can get some regs in a 15 gallon, and it's gonna be a fabric. So I'm doing some fabric 15 gallons for 3, and I'm doing plastic hard regular plastic spray painted white because they're going to be outside and they're plastic, right? I like using plastic for breeding or if I'm doing fun shit like that. Plastic's cool for what you have. You have plastic, you have nursery containers. That's what you can get from stores that are near you. One of my good friends there, they just closed down the hydro shop that's like closest to him back home in the city, and he has to like go all the way up north now. Like it was like one of the only ones out there in the burbs, and he's like in the Southwest burbs, Weedman. So he's like he got to travel now to go get fucking supplies, and it's like whatever your resource. Like I said, I'm big on resources. Whatever you got. If you got a windowsill, grow on that motherfucker. If you can't grow, pretty sure you got a nephew, a neighbor, somebody you can not extort, but convince to have fun and learn the trade. It's I'm all about reach one, teach one type shit. I wasn't a no kid left behind, but I knew a lot of no children left behind back home from the public school system. I'm a product of CPS, the Chicago public school system shit. But plastics are cool, whatever you have. I prefer 5 and up, but if you have 3s, you have 1. Go crazy. If you got, that's the thing. I'm trying not to give folks regs unless they're like people that are messing with them because no one has time for balls if you're not really dealing with them like some of us that are infatuated with this goddamn breeding shit. But if you're doing femmes, pop them anything. I'll get you some of the new femmes, Weedman, and like once me and Earl get some more stuff cracking, he's about to be playing around with the femmes a lot, like a man like me. Me and him we're talking about recipes and stuff like that. When y'all get Daz on here, try to get Daz to fucking spill his STS recipe. He won't give it to me. Yeah, maybe he can talk a little on his breeding practices. That's who you need to get. Huh?
Dude, I'm gonna test the parts per million on that silver nitrate mix and see if it's not.
And like,
I saw a thing that said you needed it at like 110, and I couldn't get it over 90 with a battery. And so like there's this like little battery on, and it was wild. It like stained. It got me in trouble. It stained one of our glasses. I did it all for the love of science, and it didn't even work. But I'm interested to see if that mixture really is up there. Yeah. Boom. We'll get it going.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll figure it out because I'm still playing around with it. This little mix I made, it's all right so far from what I'm seeing. It's reverse the Ursula berry. I gotta see if pollen starts dropping with them, but we'll get down these stems and everything. But plastics are cool. I like to do cloth for more traditional. If you can get cloth pots, do them for autos. Fabric pots, they like to breed. They like to stretch the room. When the roots from autos hit the plastic or any container they're in, that's when they start flowering. That's one of the first things the plant will do is trigger when its roots are confined. You don't get root. You don't get root lock and stuff like that. You don't get like a chance to really like as soon as they hit those. It's something about plastic. I don't know if it's science or bro science or whatever. I haven't seen any studies on it, but I know for a fact, and I've talked about it with peers. Like as soon as they hit that plastic, whatever they're in, even if it's a 5 gallon, they'll start flowering. So that's why you want to give them, if you don't have really long pots, like bigger, that's why I would say 5 gallon. Like if you had a 3 gallon and it was like one of those taller 3 gallon nursery pots, that'd be better than like the squatter one. Because some folks don't like to do their photos like in the longer pots, because of preference or just like the roots don't grow as quick. But with the autos, you want to promote more, kind of vertical growth with the roots if you're not in like a bed or something deep. So if you got taller pots, do that. I like to transplant. I just mentioned I do seed sprouters. I just plant them in between 7 and 10 days. Like I, mentioned, folks like to go with what their schedule is. Mm-hmm.
That's when I was losing it. My first one died because it got root bound, and then the second one I tried to transplant it, and everything died. And then you gave me the suggestion, I think, to go to just like a bigger pot and just plant it in there. And I was like, and then when I did that, I was like, man, this is the easiest, most. And then the weed was fantastic. It's like, what is going on? I don't have to take, and it's like you don't get to take clones. I don't have to take clones.
Yeah, like with German, it's like a lot of folks like the napkin. Put them in water cups, whatever the case may be. With autos, I just like to do direct sow. That's how I do everything personally in house. At this point, I just direct sow everything until I showed everybody with that little seed sprouter video I made. Like I was just trying to make some more content for folks and kind of give them a little. Don't be scared to experiment and do what folks are telling you not to. Like don't let people box you in. I don't care how it may be. A lot of people try to box me in this weed shit and outside of it in life. And a lot of the myths. Like I told y'all, we get another episode on autos or something cracking part 2 or the burp in the bag. We can go through some Mythbuster style. Like just do like a crowdsource questions and what folks got like from y'all, Discord folks and homies. Like I transplant. Don't get me wrong. But tried and true and what's 100% for me. I don't like to throw numbers out willy nilly because men lie when my numbers don't. And what has me at the 90 percentile and above rate is I just put them bitches into whatever final pot they're going into, whatever that may be for your situation, and make sure they get through seedling phase. Seedling phase is really quick. It's not that you might give them a little time with photos where they're in a bigger pot. They'll veg a little longer. They'll go into seedling phase a little longer. But autos are going to always kind of, for the most part, if you're dealing with good genetics, they'll start flowering if you don't fucking transplant them early on between that 7 to 10 day window. You can push it to 11, 12. You can push it to 2 weeks on a business week, whatever. But, try to do it in your setup in the final pot if you can. That's my
So what you're saying is I could just throw that once I pop it, I could just throw that right in a 5-gallon pot is what you're saying. I don't have to transplant if I don't want to though, right?
Yeah, you can go direct, but if you got your way to germinate, like I said, if you do the napkin or if you do whatever, make sure they're alive and their pops just plug and play, baby. Like I said, I'm open source. I don't try to. I can work harder if I need to, but I was always taught, work smarter, not harder. So other than the size, that's what we're working on right now. We're going to get those photo period sizes down, like these full term monsters they got on Murder Mountain and Big Hill and shit like that. Once me and my friends crack the code, big dog, and we get those 10, 12, 15 feet fucking autos outside, I don't think really much is going to be able to talk shit. Because half of those big ass photos don't smoke.
I'm going to throw some of those auto seeds outside. I'm going to let those fucking babies just go. Mr. Weedman's like, what about I'm like, they can go pick it off the fucking tree and smoke it themselves. I don't give a fuck. There's going to be so much weed next year. I got so much fucking beans right now. I'm going to be popping. Just let them go. Let them go.
Who, Mr. Rogers? You sound like a great neighbor. Shit. Yeah, I mean, the biggest I've gotten in-house in the farm so far in ground is 7.5. I've gotten a 7.5 foot auto. I stand on that.
We got to make up a song, Mr. Weedman's Neighborhood.
Yeah, but try it. Give them a try.
Planting the autoflowers is really, really easy. And it's because it's like, okay, these are finished in 75 days. And it's like that 75 days starts like 3 or 4 days after you throw those bitches in a pot. And it's like, it's
so good.
And I usually flower for 70 days.
Yeah, that's why I like to put on my label.
Holes in the flower, boom, just like fills my holes. Like it's a great like tool to have in a photo period garden.
It's smart that you put that on the labels too, and you're putting that description on there, just like Big Earl does the QR code. I forgot to tell you, T saw the QR code, Earl, on your packs. He's like, that is fucking genius.
I love it. I've had more people from that and barely given out any of them. I don't know why I didn't do it.
Yeah, I love your little wax seals. His packaging is amazing. Like I told him, he be stressing over his packaging. Half of these cats, their fucking packaging is better than their beans.
Mrs. Weedman said the same thing about the first time when she saw it. Even when I got the packs yesterday, she goes, "That touch with that wax is just classic."
Have fun
Like,
with it, dude.
And the lime green, I'm all about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, that last one was a little too gold. I gotta take that out of it. I love it.
I love it, and the little stamp. Mm-hmm.
You got any more knowledge you want to throw down before we do our 420 smoke sesh? Because it is going to be 420 soon, so I want to do a smoke sesh with you for 420. So, you got anything else you want to say?
We lost Earl. Well, just on that matter, before going into any rambling, with the seed timing, right? I'm not sure how that whole trend or like thing started, but I guess to give folks knowledge and information on a guideline. I know most people told me with photos when I first started seeing those 8 to 9 week type time lengths, it's just something to kind of go on long. It's like a guideline. You can expect that, but the plant will do what it wants. You got to be familiar with your plants. You got to know where you want your medicine. If you're not doing it for production or something different commercially, you got to know what is a peak ripeness. You can't just BS and pussyfoot around like with timing. So it's more in depth with autos because as soon as they're up, you can't just guesstimate or kind of say, oh, this isn't day one. As soon as they're up, that countdown is going. So I know when I put 75 to 85, I know that's just more of a guesstimate on my end and what I've seen through testing and in other gardens when they'll finish up and where we like them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
half the time I usually won't have a strain that goes like past the 95 plus day mark if it's not, at least it's somewhere on the label. Like it's a 90 plus day varietal. I didn't really like 100 plus day varietal autos when I first started, but I'm playing around a little bit more with them now, and they do get bigger. That's the only good thing about autos that go longer. You're getting bigger autos because they're not flowering as quick. They got space of room, but just don't mind those numbers breeders put on them all the time. I don't know who came up with it, but learn
Watch
your
the plant.
garden, learn the plant. The plant will teach
Sweet.
you. If you are willing to learn. And I think, am I missing anything? I don't want to. I know we went off the outline a little
That's
bit.
why we're gonna have you back on burping in the bag, baby. This is the reason why we have you come back.
Yeah,
We're a bunch of
yeah.
fucking stoners, burners, and potheads that we just go. So, but do me a favor,
You
tell
right.
all our audience out there in the world where they can find you at. Give us where they can get your breeds from, get your phenos, and everything you do, and tell them where they can find you out on social media. Plug away, my friend.
Okay. Well, I hate to do the shameless plug type thing, but since you're telling me, I have a website, HumminBirdHills.com. That is where I do most of the in-house drops. ChicagoSeco.com is kind of defunct, so a lot of folks still go there, but it's HumminBirdHills.com. That's where you can find all of Humminbird Hills, Rose, Photo Period, and Autoflower going forward. Earl's gear will be on there under Regal Beagle Bean Company. I have stuff from him soon. He'll be probably one of the only people until Huncho gets some chucking under his belt where it will be photo period. So check out all of Regal Beagle's fine offerings. Um, HumminBirdHills.com. I'm Humminbird Hills No G on Instagram. On Twitter, I believe we are Chicago Seed Co. And the best to the HumminBird Hills account is HumminBird Hill, no G, no S, and HumminBird Genetics. So follow me on those. And yeah, I think if you want seeds, DMs are always open. Email is chicagoseedco@gmail.com. And I think me and Earl are also available on terpfreaks.com or terpfreaksgenetics.com. Shout out to our good friend Funky Monkey. Earl just got on a new seed bank back home. Shout out to our boy Brown Bag. That's actually one of my friends from home. Check him out, Weedman. He's a cat from Chicago. Brown Bag Seed. He just added Earl on there for auto regs. He's his first auto regs. I'm going to actually be getting the Gamma line on there with him. Shout out to my distributors and vendors, White Point Wizard Organics Wizardry and Tropical Grows. But yeah, anybody wants seeds, the DMs and emails are always open. I have great customer service. I always respond to folks. I don't do too much counseling or consulting or grow tips, but those are the things. HumminBird Hills on Instagram, HumminBirdHills.com.
Hell yeah, I love it. Well, let's throw down with a 420 smoke sesh, and then we'll call it a good night and a good smoke sesh, my friends.
Yes, sir.
Earl, what are you throwing down? Are you throwing down that fucking lava cake right now? Ready to go to night night?
I'm proud of myself because it's the very last buds of my last harvest, and the next lava cake I just took down, and it was 14 days, like 2 days ago. So it lasted, like perfect timing.
I'm still holding on to 2 nugs of that lava cake because I knew it wasn't going to come on this last stopover. So yeah, but I got so much fucking flour. I've been having fun, just like going round robin with all the fun stuff I got now between the stuff I get from you and have shit that people just give me, throw me a nug here and there. You just go a little taste. I want a little taste of it all.
Did you try the new Ursula berry?
Yeah, I got that new one, dude. There was some fucking chunkers in that one. My sister-in-law who came by. Yeah, the regular Ursa berry was fucking beautiful. I still got 2 nugs of that left too. I told you, man, I keep a little bit of everything. As much as I smoke, I still like to hold a nug or 2 and let it go a little bit because then I want to try see if it like a fine wine. How does it taste after so much time? So I get down to like 1 or 2 nugs and I hold it. But that lava cake and that peanut butter breath, dude, those two I'm savoring those like I told you, just because I know it's not coming for a hot minute, so that's gonna get smoked. So, Humminbird, my man, it was a pleasure having you on the show, my friend, a fellow Southsider.
Thank you.
Hell
yeah.
Hopefully, when you come in town this week, we get to meet up for a sesh or something, man. If you can, I understand. I know you're coming in for something, but if we can hook up, yeah, let's do it. It'd be great to have you. You just reach out to me, and I'll send you my number on the DM.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll reach out to you, and then if we can get some, I would love to link up. It'd be a great pleasure to visit you and have a session in real life. And thank you guys for having me again. Earl, anytime you need me, I'm right there. I don't know, I suck at communication, but you guys can kind of see why now, right? I'm out here in the damn boonies, but I'm gonna take a dab with you guys before I sign off. I meant to do this while doing it because Earl asked me what one of my passions are. I'm getting really into hash out here. And one of my good friends actually whipped this up for me. It's some Wilson, bred by my homie Masonic. 3 of his strains.
That Wilson, I don't know a ton about, but I do know that everybody says it washes hard. Like all the crosses to it itself, like washes GMO numbers, which would be like 5-6%.
And this wasn't even like a real resin run. Like it was a tester run for the homie and him. With his fem line he was doing is Cheetah Piss Wilson, Gas Chata Wilson, and what's the other one? Rose Wilson. So shout out to them. Washed by my friend Fallen Forest. Shout out to Fallen Forest. And just want to take a little nice heady K-ass dab hit with you guys before I get off, man. Thank you for having me on.
Hey,
Humminbird, we appreciate you, man. We'll get you back on soon. Big Earl, you got anything else to say before we smoke out?
Yeah, we talked about the cloth pots a little bit too. But if you add the CalMag, I know we forget to go over that every episode, but just add CalMag if you're having any problems with them, and you'll be able to do whatever you need with those autoflowers.
Yeah, go on Reddit. They'll tell you everybody's answer is CalMag. CalMag solves all, man.
Don't forget the CalMag, everybody. Peace.